Hi, and welcome to Run Tall with Tim, the YouTube channel that's dedicated to all runners everywhere. I'm Tim, and I upload new running videos every single week. If you're new to the channel, I try to get new videos out on both Wednesday and Saturday mornings, and that's at 5 a.m. Standard Eastern Time here in the US. And if you want to save yourself a little time, I've tried to make that easy for you. If you open the description, there you're going to see where I created chapters. All you have to do is click on the timestamp for the part of the video that you want to watch, and it'll take you right there. On today's episode, I'm taking a look at the Asics Gel-Kayano Lite after 50 miles. Now, this is a stability shoe, and the Asics Gel-Kayano has been around a really long time, and it's really a flagship shoe for them for stability. But they've made a ton of changes with the Lite version, not just shedding a little bit of weight, but really retooled this shoe from the heel to the toe. So now that we have 50 miles on it, I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to come back together, talk about its performance, look at some of the durability issues that shoes can sometimes have. Before we get to that, I want to demonstrate what it looks like to run in these shoes, but then when we come back together, we're going to take a deep dive into the Asics Gel-Kayano Lite. So there are 27 versions of the Asics Gel-Kayano shoe that's out there. They came out with that 27th version early in 2020. They came out with a light version of the shoe in, I think, August of 2020. Now, this shoe is really nothing like the previous Kayano shoes, so I'm glad that they didn't call it the Gel-Kayano 28 because it's really been retooled from the heel to the toe. They've used a lot of recycled materials, both in the upper as well as in the midsole, so it's eco-friendly. I do appreciate that, so kudos to Asics for that. And let's just dive right in. We'll talk about the cost of the shoe. You know, it's $160. That's a lot of money, but it is on par with what other shoe companies are getting for high-quality stability shoes. But still, $160 is a lot of cash. And, you know, it's not the lightest shoe that's out there, but, you know, it comes in at 10.1 ounces, and that's not terrible, you know, or 285 grams, and that's for a men's size 9, which is what I wear. You know, I prefer my daily trainers to come in less than 10 ounces if possible, but, you know, 10.1, that's pretty darn close, so not terrible. So let's take a look at the upper. Now, as I said, it's made of some eco-friendly material or recycled material. It's a polyester engineered mesh upper. And, it's got tons of perforations up in that toe box. It does have some reinforced material around the toe that you can't really see in the photos here, but it's there. And as we pan around to the side of the shoe, you can see that they have some plastic overlay there with their Asics logo all the way around back to the heel counter, where they also have some plastic overlays there as well. Now, the one thing that I will note on performance, and I haven't really seen any signs of wear anywhere on the upper over the last 50 miles, so it's holding up durability-wise really well. The one thing I will note is if you live in a climate where, it's a wetter climate, this shoe seems to soak up the water. The last run that I had these out, it was a little over 10 miles, and it's winter here, and so it was lightly snowing. So not raining, lightly snowing, but within just a matter of what felt like minutes, but probably within the first half an hour or so of that run, my feet were soaking wet. That snow was just going, melting on my shoes and just going right through that upper. And so my entire foot was wet fairly quickly. Now, it was right at that freezing level, and so it was a little uncomfortable. My feet were in, it was a little cold. So I'm hoping that they can address that sometime in the future. So let's move on. Let's take a look at the eyelet chain. There's really nothing all that remarkable going on here. They do have some reinforced material on the outside as well as on the inside cage of the shoe. The laces that they sent with the shoe, I felt were terrific. I can't always say that, but these ones, they stayed tied when they were supposed to stay tied, and easy to work with and comfortable. Let's look at the tongue of the shoe. Now, this is a pretty well-padded tongue. They didn't overdo it, but it's comfortable. I didn't have any issues with it. It's not gusseted, but it does lay flat on my foot. I didn't have any issues with it migrating around or bunching up or anything along those lines. So let's look at the amount of the padding that's around the heel collar and the tab of these shoes. And, it's a fair amount. I wouldn't say that this is a luxury shoe, but there is a lot of comfort built into that padding. And as they padded it around that heel collar and the counter of the shoe, it also creates a bit of a nice heel pocket for your heel to set in. And I found that to be really comfortable. I didn't have any issues, even on long runs. I didn't have any hot spots, nothing along those lines. Everything felt really terrific. And my Achilles, that felt great kind of setting in that padded area. One of the things that I always appreciate, and it's especially important in this case, is when you can pull an insole out. And as I mentioned, this upper tends to allow water to get into your shoe pretty quickly, pretty easily, that moisture. And so, when I pulled my feet out of these shoes, my socks were just soaking wet, and so was that sock liner or the insole. So for me to be able to pull that out and just set it across the register in my home and allow the that heat to dry them out, I really appreciate it, because then it makes it quicker and easier if I want to run in that shoe back to back to have them ready to go for my next run. So it's a little thing, but in this case, I think it means a lot. So let's look at that heel counter. And there's a lot of structure here. Now, this is a stability shoe, and I think it's done terrific in terms of its performance, but holy moly, I mean, there is a ton of structure here. And they call it like an exoskeletal system, but they got a lot of plastic around that heel counter, so your heel is not going anywhere. You get those laces cinched up, you get your heel set in that heel pocket. That is going to give you a lot of motion control. So kudos, they did a fantastic job in building a really solid heel counter. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to find it in the Asics Gel-Kayano Lite. So let's talk about the midsole. Now this is a big change from the previous versions of the Kayano shoes. So this is a one-piece FLYTEFOAM midsole material. In the past, they've had different types of foam underfoot, but this is one piece. They kept the gel aspect of it, and I'll point that out to you here. And there's a fair amount of it. on Running Warehouse's website, they have the stack height at 31 millimeters in the heel and 21 millimeters in the forefoot, for a 10 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. And that felt really comfortable to me. So let's talk about that FlyteFoam material. It's not the FlyteFoam Blast material that they have in their Nova Blast or their Dyna Blast. This is a much more dense material, specifically designed to reduce overpronation, and it does it well. What I will say, however, is that it's not the fastest shoe that's out on the market. It felt slow, but it did its job, and I was comfortable, and that is huge. It's nice to be able to put on a shoe that I know is going to allow me to run safely without risk of any additional injury or re-injuring myself, and that's what I get when I run in the Asics Gel-Kayano Lite. So that peace of mind, knowing that I can put a lot of miles on safely and comfortably, is, I guess that's worth the $160 that I'm paying for these darn things. So let's talk about the gel. This is a change too. Now they moved that gel, and they kind of highlighted it here for you. All of that green. So you see that they moved that gel all the way back, underneath that forefoot of your shoe to add some comfort. And I found these shoes to be pretty comfortable. They are pretty stout, however. I don't feel like I was getting a ton of energy return. So, when I mentioned earlier talking about the performance of the shoe, these are not a speed day shoe. Now, you can run fast in pretty much any shoe. It just depends on how much energy you want to put forth in doing that. But they do what they're intended to do. And I guess that's probably the most important takeaway here. So let's flip them over, and we'll take a look at that outsole material. Now, they put on their premium outsole rubber here, and it's their AHAR rubber, which is their Asics High Abrasion Resistant rubber. It's lighter, so and it's more durable, and so they can put a thinner layer on it and still protect all of that FlyteFoam material that they have in that midsole. And they do it well, and they've got plenty. You can see that they have around the kind of J around the heel counter, up around from that midfoot all the way up to the toe, to the forefoot of the shoe. Lots of rubber covering up and providing lots of durability for the shoe. So overall, I would say this shoe is great for those that need a stability shoe. They worked well for me. I hope that they worked well for you, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe give it a thumbs up. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.